Saludos a todos y todas. Me da mucho gusto por poder compartir con ustedes algunos pensamientos sobre el valioso tema sustentabilidad. I'm going to give my remarks in English because I'm more fluent in English. And I wanted to start by letting you know where I am as I am talking about this subject. I'm on some precious land in the state of Montana where I get to steward the land and raise grass-fed beef in an effort to share the land with the wildlife as well as the domestic animals and manage it in a way that actually improves the soil and restores carbon into the soil. So I'm very privileged to be able to have some actions at a local level which I hope will promote the sustainability of the planet. I came across a quote by Reverend Angel Kyodo Williams, a Buddhist practitioner, African-American woman, which I think says it all. Without inner change, there can be no outer change. Without collective change, no change matters. It felt like a good framing for the remarks that I'm about to make. So reflecting on the theme of sustainability, and more than that, thinking about why we don't have more sustainability in our personal lives, our organizations, our communities, and even the planet. If I look around at what some of the issues are, we face extreme polarization of ideology, but more than that, huge gaps between the rich and the poor, issues around disease, issues around exclusion, and finally the climate situation, which is so worrisome to all of us. So having been working with the Synergos Institute for 35 years, our wonderful team has come up with some ways of addressing the unsustainability of many of the difficult problems that we face. We've learned how to address this over these 35 years, and today I would like to share with you both how I think the problems exist and how I believe that our method, which we've developed, can begin to address them. So the first issue we have to face is that trust is broken down really all over the world, and even within families with this polarization of ideologies, and within communities, and within countries where we see civil wars and deep divisions. We've come to the conclusion that rebuilding trust is absolutely essential. And in that context, we've discovered that there's a style of leadership which we call bridging leadership, which can help bring parties together in ways that facilitates the rebuilding of trust and the building of the capacity of people to reach out across divides and to work together to create lasting impact. So over the past 35 years, during which we have built the Synergos Institute, we have come to a methodology and also a belief system that I wanted to share with you today, because I feel as though the strategy that we're using is one which in fact can help increase sustainability in all of its manifestations and decrease the polarization that the world is facing. The first element is to rebuild trust, because trust is broken in so many facets of our world. And in order to rebuild trust, we developed a practice of leadership which we call bridging leadership. the ability to reach out across divides and bring people together to plan collaboratively to develop solutions that in fact are sustainable because all the different stakeholders are aligned behind that solution. So I'd like to share with you the different aspects of bridging leadership, which we have found to be effective for individuals and groups and even large problem-solving efforts, including whole countries. The first element, which actually was the last one that we discovered, is what we call inner work. And I would like to think that the inner work that each of us does individually to overcome whatever obstacles we face within ourselves contributes greatly to our capacity to be at our best and our most effective in the world. But what do I mean by obstacles? I believe that almost everybody has some pain in their past, some trauma, some defeat, something which made them feel insecure or not good enough, or which made them very angry, or made them filled with shame. And it is only through working through these obstacles, optimally in a group setting, where people begin to trust each other because some person in the group first exhibits vulnerability and speaks from the heart about something that pained them. Often tears flow in this kind of circumstance. And the others see the mask come off, and they see that true person for who they really are. And they appreciate it, and the person feels the appreciation. And whatever was behind that, and this of course takes time, gradually diffuses as they see that actually people are accepting them for who they are and trusting them because they see behind the mask. This then allows both increased trust within that group, and if it's a group trying to solve a problem, having the different actors trust each other is a big piece. Then they become less judgmental of each other and in general, and more curious to find the solutions, allowing their imaginations to flow, which then leads to creativity in working through problems. So this inner work done within oneself and in the context of an increasingly safe group setting builds the basis for people trusting themselves, being their most authentic selves, and trusting each other, and leads to the kind of creativity that can then generate ideas which turn into solutions, which, because these groups are comprised of the different stakeholders to a problem, then make it much more possible for the solutions to appear. But there's another element to this, which also is facilitated by people coming to trust themselves and feel more self-confident. And that is gaining the ability to listen deeply and sincerely to the other, even if you disagree. And by that kind of listening, the other comes to feel appreciated. So there may be still differences, but the fact of being heard and the appreciation that that generates creates a kind of group bonding that can actually offset the difference of opinions, because people feel close to each other and invested in finding a common solution together. So deep listening is the second aspect of what happens through this group process regarding inner work. And the third piece is really more of a mental one, and that is learning to think systemically, to create systemic solutions that are not just Band-Aid. solutions to a problem. And I like this analogy of the blind people and the elephant, and how each one who couldn't see was holding a different piece of the elephant. And each one thought that they understood what was the elephant because of their particular hold on the tail or the foot or whatever. But in fact, if you think about it, they would have had a pretty distorted picture from that one extremity of what the whole elephant looked like. So in a group, by analogy, everybody comes with their own perception of the problem. And those perceptions might be quite different. But when people listen to each other closely and begin to appreciate the other's perspective, even if they don't agree to it, it makes it possible in that context of trust to come to a collective sense of what the actual problem is, that then informs them as they begin to move into the process of coming up with solutions. So this aspect of seeing the problem as part of a system and then working together in a diverse group to address it is an important factor in creating solutions that are in fact sustainable. The fourth aspect is the ability to then take that trust and that systems thinking into the creation of a partnership which involves all the stakeholders in the particular problem, whether it's a very local problem, even a family problem, or whether it's a country-wide problem, such as the issue of agriculture in Ethiopia or child malnutrition in India, which are two problems that we have worked on with large groups of people over time, leading to significant, impactful solutions. So this means putting together the results of the inner work, the results of the systems thinking, and into a process whereby there's a rapid prototyping of potential solutions, which comes out of the creativity of this group that has become close to each other, and then leads to the selection of the most effective solutions, first as pilots, but then generated across a larger system. So the creation and execution of partnerships is another aspect which requires bridging leaders, both as the facilitators of the process, but eventually all the stakeholders becoming bridging leaders to reach out to their constituencies and to then create a more large and effective solution. The last component is an emphasis on inclusion of those who are normally left out of the problem-solving process. Too often, whether it's governments or companies or even NGOs, the problem is defined and the solution is determined by that one group alone and then implanted on whoever the, quote, beneficiaries would be, without the inclusion of the wisdom and energy of those beneficiaries. So by including those affected by the problem, one quadruples, quintuples the potential for genuine solutions because the supposed beneficiaries are included in the process and therefore have the energy to bring to the solution of the problem, together with these other stakeholders who all bring their own specific qualities and skills. So these are the elements I wanted to share with you and the process that we at Synergos use to come to genuine solutions for complex problems, all of which are paths toward greater sustainability. So just a few words on how different sectors of society can use this methodology. It's equally applicable to all, and I would venture to say that whether you're in business or in civil society, or whether you're a philanthropist or a government official, that having the capacity to listen deeply to people from other sectors or with different opinions is a very important skill in these days of separation, polarization, and indeed lack of trust. Just one reflection, for example, on how philanthropists and impact investors can make use of this and how they can contribute to this kind of problem solving in a deeply sustainable way. People who are in the position of being philanthropists, first from their heart, because they want to give back, and that can include anyone, and then because they're really committed to making a positive change in society, can use their particular sphere of influence, their particular skills, and of course financial resources as well, whether it's making investments in things that will definitely shift, let's say, a climate situation, or result in impact on poverty or in health or any other area. If they bring to that their full selves, their most authentic and vulnerable self, they will be trusted by their interlocutors. And if they are inclusive in their approach, they will have the benefit in working on a particular problem, not only of their own intelligence and skills and connections, but also of those who are equally important in the solution of whatever problem they seek to solve. So I wanted to end on that note and just say that it has been inspiring to me to have the opportunity to reflect with you on these issues of rebuilding trust and creating bridging leadership to get to a place in our families, our societies, and our countries of finding true sustainability for our groups and for the planet itself. So thank you very much.